veil has lifted.
With the Summoners Cup, Fnatic will advance the semi-finals. The only team to do that 3 times.
12 have fallen. Only the intrepid remain. Victory is on the horizon. To live through mastery or die by fate.
SKT definitely looks like the best team right now. It's the best team, like being the underdog, because you have no pressure.
Can we bring to fall the giants?
The only thing that can happen now is that we prove them wrong.
피케 선수가 워낙 옛날부터 오래 온 게이머고 굉장히 지금까지 하는 것만 봐도 성실히 오래 했다는 거에 반증이라고 생각하니까 많이 경계를 하고 있어요.
It is weird to prepare for 2 different guys. Especially at first I was thinking it would be Faker.
물론 제가 뛰고 싶은 건 맞지만 사실 지훈이 형이 나가도 크게 상관은 없어요. 지지만 않으면.
We are the lights to ignite the darkened skies.
If it ends up working out and I end up doing good against Isihun, they can just swap him for Faker in the next game.
사실 페케 선수가 좀 예전부터 오랜 경험을 쌓아 오셨기 때문에 저희 둘 상대로도 1대1도 거뜬하실 것 같다고 생각합니다.
At season 1 I felt we had the level to take it. This one is almost the same. I don't feel like it's just gonna be hard because they are better than us. I feel it can go either way, and that's the hard part about it.
And it's gonna be all 5! Soaz gets a pentakill after Paris! Boom! The kills come in! And this could be the semi-finals for Origin! SK Telecom destroy AHQ's Nexus and are 1 step closer to the Summoners Cup!
Welcome to the 2015 League of Legends World Championship semifinals. Of the 16 teams from around the globe that entered the tournament, only 4 remain in pursuit of the Summoners Cup. Now you're getting a look at Brussels Expo in Belgium, which will play host this week as the teams do battle with their eyes on the finals. And just a little bit ago, fans were lined up and ready to storm the arena to cheer on SKT and Origin. We've got a few cosplayers in the house with Yasuo and Lulu leading the charge. And here you're getting a sneak peek at our combatants. SK Telecom warming up in their locker room just a short time ago. They'll be facing off against Europe's Origin. Both teams looking to advance to Berlin. And that best of 5 is just moments away. Hello everyone, I'm James Dash Patterson coming to you live from the heart of Belgium, where I'm joined by coach for Europe's H2K, Neil Prawley Hamad, OGN shoutcaster Christopher Monte Cristo Michaels, and the NALCS's own Joshua Jat Leesman. Welcome to the semifinals, gentlemen. We made it.
Yeah, we did. And so did everyone in this venue. This place looks amazing.
That they did. So much energy in this building, as you can tell already. People are ready for the games to start, for some fun to be had. Now, the analyst desk has hit the road for our last 2 weeks and has joined the rest of the team to cover all the action here on the ground. Warming up the caster booth for our first series today is Freak, Crepo, and Kobe. And we're not the only ones that made the trip across the North Sea. Our partners from China and Korea's OGN are here as well to bring the coverage of this weekend's games to the far corners of the globe. Now, of course, it's time to pull up the bracket and see how today's semifinalists made it to the penultimate stage of Worlds 2015. We'll start with Origin, who surprised many with their run-through groups and followed that with a solid victory over the Flash Wolves last week.
Yeah, Origin has been playing great this entire time, defying many of the expectations. Remember, most people didn't even see Origin coming out of the group stage, yet time and time again, when the decisive moments of the games happen, Origin are the ones coming out on top.
And even though they don't usually have a gold lead early in the game, they've shown through some intelligent use of globals, teleports, that they can make big comebacks in a lot of their games and really stand with a lot of teams in the late game phase.
And of course, they're going to be going up against Korea's SK Telecom, who have yet to drop a game throughout the entire tournament. They look strong as ever, gentlemen.
I have no clue who's actually going to stop SKT, but I really hope it starts now.
Yeah, well, there's a chance they could be the best team in the history of the World Championships. They are currently undefeated, and no one has gone undefeated the entire way through. We thought maybe Samsung White could do it last year. They played so fast and so clean in many of their games, but they had those minor slip-ups. Maybe that's the story for SKT this year.
Still plenty of games to find that out. Now, at the end of the day, only one team will stand as Origin and SKT go head-to-head in today's best of 5. It's important to note that because of a bug with his Q, Gragas has been disabled for the remainder of the tournament, along with Lux and Ziggs. Now, for more information and the full context of the disable, load up lolesports.com. And as we close in on the finals, we want to give you some insider knowledge from the analysts joining us on the desk. So tweet your questions about the tournament at LullySports with the hashtag AskTheDesk, and we'll run them by our European, Korean, and North American experts later today. And before we kick things off here in Brussels, we want to take a few moments to acknowledge an integral member of our team who's come home to cover the World Championship. To some, she's Effie Deportra, but to many, she's simply known as Shocks.
After 4 years, I still like watching League of Legends the most out of everything. You just sit there and you have all the fans there, and I'm just the same. I'm like shouting when a pentacle happens. I'm excited when a backdoor happens. And every time that happens, I also still realize, whoa, this is so what I want to do. I can't imagine doing anything else. It's fantastic to be in Belgium. We are in the Abdijtuin, or the Abbey Garden. It's actually one of my favorite places here in Ghent, where I went to university. I was very much attracted to the history side of everything, so I decided to do history for 4 years. Over the course of those 4 years, I actually discovered that I liked to be a sports reporter a lot more. There was the World Cup, football was on the first year in university. I watched every single game of the Football World Cup, and that made me really realize, whoa, I love this more than I love anything else. So I also got a degree in journalism. Somehow I fell into watching League of Legends, and I stumbled upon a broadcast of IEM. It was kind of like it was an epitome that I was watching, and I was like, whoa, this is so competitive and cool, and this is this game that I've been playing for months and months. I'm gonna try and use what I learned and write about League of Legends. At that point, I had no idea what was about to come. Legends Season 3 World Championship! Originally, actually, I never really thought about being on camera. It was never something that I was drawn to. I grew to like being on camera, I think. I have a lot of mannerisms that I didn't know that I had until I watched myself on camera. When I watch it back then, I just feel like I was very awkward, and I didn't really know how to present myself. I talk very fast, I still do. I started to like it along the way, and now it feels super natural. And it's awesome that now it feels that way, but it wasn't that from the beginning. Sometimes takes a turn for the worse when people judge you on a lot of things that have nothing to do with the actual job description. And the one that hurts the most always is people that are like, the only reason why you're here is because you're a girl and you happen to look half decent. I want to pull that person to the screen and say, have you any idea how hard we all work? And I don't work less hard. Like, I do just as much, and you should just diminish me to just being a lady, a woman, a girl, whatever you want to call it. That is just, ugh. I love when they say, wow, you looked great today, your dress was awesome. Yay, good, but did you also like that interview? Did you think that should I ask that question differently? What should I do? I want someone to watch me and, okay, they might think, hey, there's a girl doing interviews, but then I want them to listen and think, wow, okay, she's doing a good job. This is what I wanted to hear from this player. And it's such a process because there's so much more factors that go into it. And the first thing that's important is making the player feel good and feel safe and feel confident to say what he wants to say. A lot of times people always think that, oh, you just burned this player or whatever, but most of the time that's because I've built a connection up with them over the years, or I've talked to them behind the scenes and I know how far I can go and I can't go and what would work. And sometimes it falls flat, but I'd like to think that they respect me now for what I do. I think the most favorite interview that I've done has most recently been the Dyrus interview. because it was one of a kind. And I was quite nervous because I had thought about what to ask him, and I had different things. Okay, what do you think is going to happen at TSM after? What's all of this? And then when it just happened, I just realized, no, just let him. He obviously wants to say something, and he'll be great at it. So why don't I just give him the openest question possible, show him that he can be calm and be himself, and then I got caught completely off guard.
I'm really sorry to all of my fans that I let you down.
It was very overwhelming, but the only thing I was like, I don't want to cry and have people look at me when I'm crying. Now, I don't care if I look bad. I want them to listen to him because this is his moment. And I feel like 2 years ago, I might have screwed that up completely and just been too nervous or said the wrong thing. And I felt really, really happy that I could navigate that, and I felt that that moment that we created was really special.
There's nothing left to say. You have influenced the lives of so many people, and you will continue to do that. Thank you so much for willing to do this. And one more time for Darius, his incredible career, and the fact that he was willing to talk to us here.
I definitely feel, I know that I'm something that some girls have actually written to me, and men as well, said, wow, I look up to the fact that you're a woman in this business. And it's not something that I want to get hung up on and think about all the time, but I think that through my actions, I've been a good example, because for me, it's always been about loving this game, working as hard as possible, and hopefully showing people that I care, and not that I'm there just to be on camera or whatever. As I said, it's great that people say you looked great, you were wearing a great dress, and of course it makes me feel good, but it makes me feel 100 times better if a girl comes up to me at a live event and says, you are an inspiration to me, I love what you do, I think you're a great example, I want to do what you do. That means so much.
And now it's time to head down to Shox on stage to introduce us to today's semifinalists.
Welcome everybody to Brussels Expo! Hallo iedereen, bonjour tout le monde. Please join me in welcoming our two semi-finalist participants for our game today. Starting with on the blue side from Korea's LCK and the Season 3 World Champions, SK Telecom T1.
SK Telecom destroy AHQ's Nexus and are one step closer to the Summoners Cup.
In the top lane, Maren. In the jungle, Bengi. The starting mid laner, Easy Hoon. At AD carry, Bang. On support, Wolf. the substitute Faker. Their coach, Koma. Once again for SK Telecom T1. And now their opponents on the red side of Summoner's Rift from the European League Championship Series, Origin. In the top lane, it's Soaz. In the jungle, Amazing. Holding the mid lane, Xpeke. At 80 carry, Niels. His support, Mithy. Their sub, Aranea. And finally, the coach, Hermit. Give it up one more time for Origin. Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, our semi-finalist, SKT and OG.
Now there they are, the two teams in the first of our battles between Korea and Europe, SKT and Origin. The energy in this building is massive. There's very clearly a fan favorite in this arena, though.
You could say that. It's Europe versus Korea round one.
I think it's safe to say.
Round one.
It is round one. We'll have round two tomorrow. Now, as the teams take their places on stage, let's look at how these two stack up. Comparing their average gold difference from all of their games at Worlds, it really is a tale of two different teams.
Yeah, and a lot of this comes from SKT being undefeated, but it does go to show how badly they have been beating their opponents and how Origin has been grinding out wins in a lot of close or deficit-filled games. Even at the 25-minute mark, Origin still doesn't average a gold lead.
And that also is deceptive because we look at their average game time of 42 minutes. Their wins are even longer than their average game time. So this is a team that's been taking a long time to actually grind out those victories and staying kind of a little bit below their opponents for most of the game when it comes to the gold score.
Two play styles that are sure to clash here today. Now, it's important also to note that Easyhoon is subbing in for Faker in the mid lane. So my question to you guys is, how does this affect the dynamic of that mid lane matchup against Xpeke?
Well, I think from what we've seen so far, I'm not going to sit here and justify starting Easyhoon. He's a wonderful player, but then there's also Faker. I think maybe the logic here is that Easyhoon likes to play control mages, which we've seen a lot from Xpeke so far, teleporting back into the mid lane consistently, just playing a more passive style in the laning phase. So SKT may be just trying to beat Origin at their own game. They say, all right, if you're going to play teleport, we can't kill you with Faker in the laning phase. Well, maybe we'll play a control mage and just scale with you and then win in late game team fights.
Yeah, I think the school of thought really has to be, we just want to play the way Origin does. We don't really want to snowball the early game. We don't want to snowball the mid lane. We just want to focus on side lanes, let mid lane go even. But I do think Faker would be the better choice here. Yes, you can play their style and probably beat them at it, but putting in Faker, you can still play that style that SKT has been. It doesn't really force you to play differently. The one gambit you get from playing Faker is now you have every single counter pick in the game. He's going to play everything mid against Anivia. Are you kidding me? He's going to play like ridiculous things. And I think that's what Faker would be giving to the team.
And if we're trying to justify this move from SKT's standpoint, I think a lot of it comes back to what they were doing at the spring split and at MSI. They have said the team has slightly better cohesion with Easyhoon at times. He demands less pressure from the rest of the team. And in games where Easyhoon plays, often you see more attention spent on Bang and on Marin. And with the way Marin has been performing so far, there's a chance they're just going for that play.
And of course, there's always the possibility of a swap back sometime during the series. But we speak about pressure and how Easyhoon in the mid lane might allow for more pressure elsewhere on the map. I feel like we then have to turn to the junglers and look at these two, particularly given the fact that Gragas is off the table today. What are we looking at?
This is really interesting because if we look at total jungle picks so far at Worlds, Elise has been played 38 times, Gragas and Rek'Sai 29 each, Lee Sin below them at 14, and then Evelyn's been played 3 times. And it's actually quite easy to pinch you down to that list of junglers only being played 3 times. So we could see some weird junglers today.
And interestingly enough, 2 of those 3 games were played by one from Bengi and one from Amazing coming into this match. So I think that this is actually very favorable for SK Telecom. And the reason why is that you have Bengi, who's a player who, when we know him as a very strong pathing jungler. It's about his intelligence on where to be at the exact right time and getting that vision down so his lanes can really play aggressively, especially up and top, and not so much with Easyhoon, but usually in mid. So when we're switching back to a more passive style of jungling, I think this really just falls right into Bengi's wheelhouse, and on champions like Evelynn and like Nunu, he can be successful.
Well, I think the biggest advantage that this kind of gives to you is not just SKT, but any blue side team right now. Because at the moment, you get to choose what purple side bans. They have to ban Mordekaiser Gangplank. That's going to happen. But now, if you third ban Rek'Sai, there's no longer a chance for you to just leave up Elise and Gragas and play those 2. You have to follow that up with an Elise ban. So you no longer can ban out Azir. You can no longer ban out this like Tahm Kench annoying kind of bot lane stuff. So it really forces blue side. Like, do we want to leave up both junglers, or do we want to ban junglers?
Yeah, well, I will say, if they're going to be doing that, you have to put a pretty big investment in, especially against Amazing, because I think his Lee Sin, even though he hasn't played it much, is probably his best champion, and it's his most played historically. Especially if you look at solo queue, it's what he likes to play, and it's an aggressive style. So you have to be willing to throw probably 2 bans as well as a first pick if you actually do want to be able to take the Lee Sin away from him.
And another good reason to play, for example, Easyhoon, is he is one of the best Azir players in the world. He's better than Faker at Azir. He's better than Faker at Twisted Fate. And if usually how teams deal with Easyhoon in the lineup is with bans, they have 3 red side games. I don't know if they're going to be able to deal with Easyhoon's champion pool very easily.
Yep, it's a large one to say the least. Now it's time to move to the top lane, which has been the trend of the tournament. We have 2 guys in the top lane here who have proven at times that they can carry. However, on a game-to-game basis, Marin has been the picture of consistency, Soaz has stumbled at times.
And I think a lot of it just comes down to the safety in which you play aggressive. SKT has been able to cover the map better with wards than Origen, but Soaz is playing just as greedy as Marin is. He just doesn't have knowledge of when he's going to be counter-ganked. Origen had the lowest number of green wards in the first 15 minutes, and Soaz would end up dying because he's playing like he has the vision control, whereas Marin's been able to get the backup from the rest of his team. I think that leads to the consistency.
Yeah, the one weakness Marin has always had, though, is sometimes he's very vulnerable to level 3 ganks. He has been known to not drop his trinket ward at the right time and fall prey to some very predictable ganks in the early game, so that may be a strategy that we see Origen try to use here. Because if you get Marin to the late game, like Jat's saying, totally agree, he'll get the wards down. Whereas Soaz, he tends to overextend, get greedy for farm, and die. So attack Marin early has usually been a successful strategy.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to be weird for Origen, because a lot of the time you think Soaz is greedy because he doesn't have the jungler to back him up during that. He's not farming like without any reason. It's like, well, I need to farm this or I'm going to be really out of the game. So if Origen wants to push the jungler away from the bot lane, which they have been doing, is putting it bot lane, then I think Soaz can fix his like consistency problem, because I don't think it's like on him alone.
I was about to.
It's a team thing, for sure. Yeah,
and that's where I think it's very
game.
interesting that we point out Bengi has the earliest sidestone buy of any jungler on average in this tournament, and that could be where a lot of that safety is coming from in the top lane. Want to move to the bottom half of the map now. We've got to look at the AD carries. We have the rookie Niels going up against the KDA King here at Worlds. Bang.
This is a great matchup. I mean, I think part of the reason Niels has had so much success is because of the pressure Amazing has been giving Mithy and the rest of that bottom lane down there. Niels has the highest CS differential at 10 minutes of any AD carry still in this tournament, and he also has the highest kill participation, meaning they're pretty much waiting for Niels to do work before the team does anything, and the solo laners are either farming on their own, trying to stay alive, or just teleporting down to help Niels. It's will be very fun to see whether or not Bang neutralizes that.
And we saw, I mean, too, the question is, will that KDA stick around? But in order to determine that, I want to look at their better halves in the bot lane, the supports, Mithy, and Wolf.
I think this is honestly an advantage towards Mithy this game, although the support pool is kind of shrinking in my opinion. I think top tier supports are becoming really, really obvious, so I don't think the skill differential will matter that much. I think this is kind of like, as well as Mithy and Wolf can work with their jungler, that's going to be the most important thing, and not necessarily how they play in laning phase.
Well, we also saw at least the Tahm Kench come out for SK Telecom in the quarterfinals. That was really the one sort of new pick we saw from the team. They ended up playing it very well, and it worked out. So now we know that Wolf has that in his arsenal of support champions, and he can continue to be a threat on that particular pick, where we didn't really know that particular thing before.
Yeah, and even if we look at the champion pools, like Mithy, if the support pool is shrunk or if he's going for some wider picks, because he has the most unique champions played. He's tied with a lot of different players at Worlds at 7 here, and only one other support, Gorilla, has played 7 different supports. These two supports actually share 5 of the same picks. And I actually think Wolf doesn't have as much champion versatility. If it's probably unlikely because the way the jungle picks are going to be probably targeted with bans and the width of the champion pools in mid lane. But if the support pool does get targeted a little bit, I think it gives Mithy an edge because he seems to be able to play a lot more than Wolf.
All right, we've covered the map, top, jungle, mid, AD carry, and support. With all of this in mind, it's time to move to the predictions, gentlemen. Who is going to be the first team to claim a spot in the 2015 World Championship Finals? Probably we're starting with you.
I don't want to betray my European brethren right now, but I will have to say SKT. And sorry, you asked for my prediction.
You can't boo him. He admitted that he was going to betray you before he did it.
Yeah, I prepped the bandage before I tore it off. But if we look at Origin during Summer Split, they had really aggressive early games, mid games, and certain analysts would judge their late games because they never really play them out very correctly. Now we're looking at Origin and they're completely different. They actually play pretty slow mid game. They don't really snowball hard, and they actually play a really consistent mid-late game where they just drag out the game, which is now SKT's style they're good at. And I think this is what's bad for them right now.
Now onto the man with the chainmail SKT tie. I can
what
only
Monty's
assume where we're going here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's, I mean, I think this prediction is pretty ironclad, like my tie, so I'm going to have to go with SK Telecom T1 here. Well, you can boo me as much as you want.
It's actually a chainmail tie.
It
actually is a chainmail tie, ladies and gentlemen.
And one thing that I wanted to talk about too is, Spawn's not on the desk today, unfortunately, to give his prediction. So what I have is this €1 coin, which is about the same accuracy as Spawn. So we're going to get his prediction right now, a little coin flip. And he is going to head, so SK Telecom. So given his track record, I guess that means Origin wins.
All right, there it is. There should be tears in the crowd right now.
Yeah. Well, you guys go with SKT. The coin goes with SKT. I will say Origin. Listen. SKT has had the easiest road of any team here at Worlds. If you look at the other teams in their group, H2K, Bangkok Titans, also their quarterfinal opponent against HQ, where they almost lost a game to HQ. They gave up 4 dragons, if not for the Baron. Which is why I think Origin 1-3, they can win a single game, and my prediction for this series is actually SKT, 3-1.
The switcheroo, ladies and gentlemen. That's something you boo right there. All right, well, we'll find out as Origin and SKT are about to hit the rift. But before we get to the casters, Shox is standing by for a word with one of the Season 3 World Champions looking to reclaim the Summoners Cup.
Thank you very much, guys. Indeed, joined here by Faker. And well, Faker, I did want to talk to you for a quick minute because you're not starting in Game 1, such an important game on the road to the Summoners Cup. You've said, as long as we win, it doesn't matter. But what is it like knowing that your team is about to play this game and you're not?
페이커 선수가 이전 인터뷰에서 비록 경기를 뛰지 않더라도 팀이 이기면 괜찮다라고 얘기하셨는데 이제 이렇게 중요한 경기에 후보로 경기를 안 뛰는 것에 대한 심정이 어떠신가요?
우선 저는 제가 뛰는 것을 좋아하지만 그렇지만 지훈이 형이 뛰어도 저는 믿을만하다고 생각하고 또 제가 먼저 뛰지 않음으로 인해서 제가 좀 마음이 편해져서 좋은 점도 있는 것 같아요.
Even though I enjoy playing